I'm feeling fantastic. I'm feeling peachy. The world is my oyster. Oh, it's
I like that.
you had new content put out a couple days ago. Talk about what you've been putting on. For everybody who wants to know, who winds up seeing Joe's stuff, go to joe-hehn.com and then wind up filtering to his YouTube channel. He puts up content all the time talking about mindfulness. And again, if we're going to sum this up in a general, what am I listening to Joe for? He's going to teach you how to be happy. Literally, that is the biggest takeaway you will get from this. So talk about what you've been putting up in the last couple of days and what we want to talk about today.
Sure. So I've started putting 2 videos out a week, and on Sundays I'm releasing like a weekly inspiration. And you saw the first or the second one, which was drinking water every week, because a lot of people forget to keep themselves hydrated. And so that's just kind of like a little helpful, mindful tip as you go about your day, how to stay healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Water helps, right? So this week, it was the passing. Last week was the anniversary of my wife's passing. So 6 years now. And I kind of wrote a little something about that, about just my reverie, looking back and my spiritual journey. And I did think about her passing in our our last words to one another while she was conscious. And it was some heavy stuff, but I did get to say, I love you. And she said it back to me. And that's literally the last thing we said to one another. And I just know that there's so many important people in my life. And I know there's so many important people in Dominick's life and the people who are listening now, but sometimes we don't always have that opportunity. So this week's inspiration was to take that opportunity, to create that opportunity, and let the people you love that are important to you, let them know that you do love them, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and life can be short and things happen. So we need to know that we feel loved, and we didn't to also express that to the ones we love. So that's what I released there. So did you happen to do that with your loved ones this week?
Not in so many words. Listen, I know we talk about that, and that's been something that's been going around the world for a very long time. And we all kind of do, whatever. We all have tomorrow. We have text message. We have such instant gratification. What does, for you as the individual, what does letting your loved ones know how you feel do for you? And I'm going to back up. So you and I, we've been on this journey now for a couple of months. And I had told you that ever since I had started the meditation, it has led to a lot of good things. It has led to eating better, which led to working out better, which led to sleeping better, which led to having a much more a good, light feeling. A lot of people who watch my content, you go back 6 months ago, you're going to see a heavier version of Izzo, not physically, but doom and gloom and dread and negativity for the most part. And I told you and I had a very personal conversation, which I said, listen, ever since I started doing this, I got a burden off of my back, which a year in the making came. And specifically what that was, and I'll let you know, and or other people know, and I think I told you a little bit about it. I did not tell someone what they meant to me out of a pride issue. I had thought, okay, well, this person decided to wind up cutting out of my life. That's their choice. Fine, whatever. I let a year go by, and after the steps of being thankful, being grateful, being appreciative, seeing what I had, meditating, after listening to Joe, for some reason, it was a very clean wash came over me and said, you need to do this. It just was a natural step. I think I wasn't so angry at that point, which was a real big thing for me, not being so angry. Uh-huh. So I told this person, in a way, I sent this person a message outlining exactly what I felt and their level of importance to me at the time they were with me, regardless what happened. I didn't bring up negativity. I didn't talk about things. It wasn't you did this, I did that. It was, listen, this is the value you had for me. I need to let you know that. And the second, I'm telling you, the second I wound up hitting send, it was such a elated feeling. I felt new. I felt completely different. So talk about the importance of what it is for the sender. Just like you were talking about forgiveness the other week, you know, you forgive other people, but the power of forgiving yourself first. What is the importance of us telling other people how we feel about them, that we love them? We're not doing it just to let them know, hey, you know, you should feel honored that I love you. We're doing it for us, aren't we?
Exactly. It's a lot of people look at it, and the reason they don't want to open up and express their love for another person is they're worried about the reaction from the other person. That's not why we're doing that. That's not why we're opening up. In a sense, we're trying to allow ourselves to be vulnerable because unfortunately, we're at a place where we can get judged and criticized for certain things. So here, we've got it in our minds and our hearts that sometimes that we may get a bad reaction from somebody else, but we can't worry about how another person's going to react because it's for our own growth, it's for our own development, and it's also, like you said, it's if you have feelings for something or someone and you don't share them, that is grief. That's an actual, you're layering on negative emotion onto your heart. And the more you keep that in, the thicker that layer becomes. And then you're layering that on top of other stuff that you're dealing with. And it's a negative byproduct of you holding that in. So when you got that off your chest, as you like to say, it's literally you're getting that emotion off your place of heart, off your chest, and you can breathe again. It's not, you're not opening up because you're like really hoping the other person feels the same way, or you really feel that they're going to be like, oh, I'm so honored you love me. It doesn't matter what they say or how they react. It's you saying, I don't have to be this perfect version of myself and too good to be in love with this person or too prideful to show my feelings for this person. I need to let it out there and be that love and be that light and that compassion. And that means I need to open up and tell the people who mean the most to me that they mean the most to me. And whatever that looks like, you're going to find a way to do that in a healthy way. But as you described so perfectly, it was pride holding you back. It was ego. Yeah. And once you made that breakthrough, it was like, man, why was I not doing this a long time ago? Like, I feel like I just let go of this weight. And now you can kind of recenter in on maybe future goals or at least your current reality.
Yeah, it was expectations and pride. It was, if I'm putting this out there, it was also leverage for me. The biggest issue for me was to be seen as weakness. Well, if I'm the one who breaks silence first, I'm giving someone else power, I'm obviously weak. And at that point, after everything else, after I focused so much on me, I didn't care. And it's like, okay, yeah. What do you care if somebody else sees you as weak? It's not my problem. It's not my issue how somebody else perceives me. Plus, it felt good to be able to say, I understand, you know, things go bad in relationships and things go bad with people, but it actually feels really good to say, listen, you're an ass, you're a pain in the ass, but there are so many good things about you, and I would rather highlight those. These are the things I appreciate about you, because you almost are able to kind of recognize in yourself that, wow, I'm not just holding on to childish ways of being hurt. I'm adult enough and I'm mature enough and I'm grown enough to recognize the good things. And it's evolving. It's evolving as a human being. And I actually like that process.
Yeah. And it's once you kind of make that connection, you're just like, this is cool. Like, this is what growth is. This is what maturity is that, like, I don't have to be worried about being hurt. It's because what happens is you're kind of putting up this defense mechanism where I cannot get hurt if I don't express how I feel, because there's a possibility out there that if I do express that I feel for someone and that they're important, that they may not reciprocate, and that's going to make me feel bad. So in order to avoid that potential outcome, I'm just not going to share my feelings. When you kind of start like thinking about this, mulling this over and considering it, well, what if I just share it and it's not dependent upon the other person's reaction? It's just reliant on me letting that go into the universe, letting them hear it, and whatever happens. I'm not attached to that. And then that is growth. That's evolution. And that's part of your spiritual journey, is evolving through that of opening up. So what'd she say back? Let's hear it.
No, nothing. There was what do we do? There was May. So there's no, and I didn't expect anything back. There was no response back. That's fine. You know, we haven't spoken in over a year anyways.
Exactly.
The one thing though I want to mention, and we talked about this a little bit,
Regret is a compass, okay? So you're going to look back. You will have the potential, the possibility to look back upon your life and consider that moment, say if you're on your deathbed, and be like, oh, that's awesome. I didn't not tell her how I felt because I was worried about something. I have no regret about how I handled that situation. Maybe it took me a while, but who cares? I don't have any regret. I reached out. I'm the one who put myself out there. And I look back upon that. That's one less opportunity for you to have remorse, grief, regret, resentment as you lay on your deathbed. That is a spiritual evolution of liberation because you're nicking those things off your past and you're growing.
100%. Now, here's the deal. The steps that I took to get there, that the ability to eradicate pride, to be able to say what needed to be said, came from certain steps. All right, Joe says meditate, fine, I'll do it. Joe says do this, fine, I'll do it. Joe says drink water, fine, I'll do it. And after a while, that was a byproduct of all those things coming together to then just focus on me to be able to do it. Not that there's dangers, but when people hear you now talk about the power of forgiving people or doing this, what happens when you preemptively jump into it and somebody, they may not be ready yet, but they go and they tell their estranged father or their estranged sister or their ex-husband, hey, by the way, these are the greatest things I feel about you. And they don't get a response, or they get a negative response in return, and they did it just to do it to see if they would feel better, but they weren't exactly ready. How do they kind of recover from that rejection and kind of evolve from that?
Well, it's going to be multi-step process too. It's the same as going into it, is that if you're going to have an emotional reaction, it's the same process. Basically, you're understanding human reaction. You're understanding people's minds. Once you understand your mind, you understand people's minds. They all function in similar capacities, with defense mechanisms, with insecurities, with ego, all this different stuff. So you may see there's a billion different outcomes that can happen with that, but you're going to understand that I have to dedicate to invest in my mind, understanding what it is, how it functions, and my kind of insecurities, my reactions, and my instinctual, basically like reactions of what's going to happen. So if you go and tell somebody you love them, and then you get a negative response, you would probably have to go through the same situation as leading up to that, of meditating, understanding your mind, being healthy, and then having compassion, forgiveness for that person, and just acceptance. That's a big one. There's one of my videos on expectations, is to have no expectations about people's behaviors. And I even still have reactions to people, what they do, but I have to tell myself in my mind, why did you have an expectations for this person to act a certain way? So they're actually going to have to do the work no matter what. If you're leading up to that event or afterwards, if you're experiencing an emotional reaction leading up to that or afterwards, that means you've got some mindfulness work to do to understand how your mind works and to relieve yourself of that emotional reaction.
So that's going back to where you said about forgiveness. It's you want to forgive others, but you speed up the process when you forgive yourself. Either way, you're going through the process. And that's something too, is people are going to have to love the process. Are you going to be advocating or talking about the fact that you're giving guidance for some great results? But the process of this guidance at times can be confusing and painful. What do you talk to people about? Absolutely, should they love the process? Should they be going through pain and you stop and say, listen, this is good. You're going through pain. You need to love this process. How are you mentoring people when it comes down to this is hard? This is I want to achieve this, but this is difficult. Well, how do you address that issue?
Well, it's like anything. If you're in a rut in your health and wellness, or you haven't worked out, right? Your first few days in the gym or doing yoga or Pilates or whatever it may be are going to be very challenging. You're going to be out of breath. Your body is going to ache. It's going to be exhausting. But what happens? There's a shift. You kind of reach this place where you're like, wait, I feel good. like I'm not hurting as much, and now I feel the benefits, and my energy's up, and my system's working cleaner. So there's going to be this progression. At first, it is challenging learning Wing Chun. You feel like a doofus, everything's wrong, your technique is off, you don't have the power where it's supposed to be. Any new activity you're learning how to paint, learning how to wrestle, learning how to do a new thing at a job or a new software. It's challenging at first, but then you kind of get into this groove and things just gain momentum and you start actually kind of having fun and you start enjoying yourself, especially with this spiritual journey, because you're kind of benefiting in so many different areas of your life. Like Dominick, for example, you're seeing your relationships improve, your physical well-being is improving, your mental well-being is improving, your spiritual and emotional well-being is improving. So you're showing and seeing all these benefits as you traverse this. At first, it might be a little bit challenging, but anything worth doing is, right? If it's easy and there's no issue to it, then are you really growing through that? No, you need that challenge. But it's your emotional reaction to that challenge that determines basically how mindful you are and how spiritually evolved you are. If you're super upset and getting super angry and having a very difficult time, that's a good thing. That means that there's work to be done and you're in the right place to be doing that positive work.
So all these things are layered, and they all are synergistic. They all coexist together. So if you are looking to feel happier, be mindful, forgive yourself, and manifest at the same time. Manifestation, I think, is one of the best and biggest things that you're talking about, you're promoting, because you're looking at helping people manifest their best life and their happiest life. These things are components they need to achieve. So correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't think I am on this one, and I think it's a message you're in. You cannot manifest what you're doing if you are not forgiving others, forgiving yourself, and letting go of things, or telling people how you feel. These things are essential, aren't they?
Yes. So when you say manifest, you can manifest whatever you want. You can manifest strife and anxiety and panic and worry and negative, horrible, toxic relationships because that's what your mind is at. So you can manifest that bad stuff, but if you want to manifest good, positive, benevolent, beautiful things in your life, that's where the forgiveness, that's where the mindfulness, that's where the meditation and the physical and emotional well-being comes into play, is because you're able to do that with purity, and it's going to happen quicker and more efficiently, and you're going to start seeing all these benefits. So it's not that you can't manifest stuff, you're manifesting positivity. You're manifesting beauty as opposed to strife and struggle and anxiety and depression and panic and so forth. So you are going to just basically be more efficient at manifesting what you truly desire, because the driving force behind that is not ego, it's not resentment, it's not forgiving people, it's not insecurities, it's not anxiety and stress and panic and all the different negative emotions. Does that make sense?
It does. Joe, I'm very fortunate. I don't really have too many outside influences of negativity on me. But we have a lot of people who, you have a negative job, negative spouse, negative friends, all of this, and they're still trying to, how can I forgive if I have this nagging partner? How can I forgive if I have this, I hate my boss? How can I, and I know there's certain keys that you've given every week to talk about, look at very positive and great things to be grateful for. But when all of the pressures are mounting on people, they're going to get off track of forgiving themselves, forgiving others, all this. How do you get people back on track when they get off track?
Well, it's a process basically where you start right where you pick up where you started from. It's incorporating the healthy, beneficial, positive components in your life. So a lot of people who are pissed at their boss, for example, they're going to go home and they may have a drink, or they may watch toxic TV. They want to decompress. They want to get away from that, but yet they're filling their life with more toxicity. Instead of saying, all right, I've got a horrible boss, I need to work out more, I need to read poetry, I need to do yoga, I need to go for a good run, I need to check out some good self-help books, I need to listen to some positive podcasts. So you've got to counter the balance of toxicity in your life by investing in positive influences. So that's something we actually have control of immediately. If you're having a horrible time with your boss at work and they're super toxic, and then you come home and watch the news for 2-3 hours, and then you're talking to your neighbor who's like a negative Nancy, what are you doing to counter that balance? You have to work. You have to deal with the boss in a sense, but you don't have to watch toxic TV or TV shows or media or whatnot, or have those outside toxic influences. So you have to invest in, well, if I've got that in one hand, then I need to counter that weight, that balance with positive influences. And there's a ton of different ways to do that, but basically it comes to creativity, understanding your mind and being creative. So expressing yourself through painting or drawing or playing music or dancing or singing, or enjoying in another's creation, whether they're creating songs or good, pick-me-up movies or great poetry. When you have those positive influences in your life, you're going to feel better, and you're going to feel that balance where you can go to work, you can put your head down and get your stuff done with that negative boss, and then get out of there and still live a happy life.
Joe, it's okay to have relapses, right? I mean, and not everybody can sit
Absolutely.
there and be constantly in the. I mean, you've had down moments, right?
Of
People
course.
shouldn't beat themselves up if they're like, I'm trying. This is great. It's okay.
Absolutely, it's natural. Okay, when you see any ebbs and flows, the surface of the ocean, it's not always flat. There's ups and downs. That's nature. You see storms, you see mudslides, you see natural disasters. That is a recenter. If you can't basically have those peaks and valleys, then you can't grow through that. If everything is just stagnant, there is nothing to kind of grow through. You need challenge. And that's how your mind is going to perceive certain events in your life as ups and downs. But the thing is that the more you grow spiritually, those peaks and valleys, they're not fluctuating as much, and you're kind of peaceful, and you're going to experience some trials and tribulations, but they're not going to be so like overwhelming and mind-blowing. You're going to be able to navigate them and still grow through them, but you're still going to maintain that peace and happiness in a sense.
Joe, we got a couple of minutes left here. Homework for the week, or what are you going to be working on? If everyone goes to joe-hain.com, H-E-H-N, if you sign up, you get his free ebook. You wind up reading articles. Go to his YouTube channel. You see all the content he's putting out there. But specific tips for the week. I mean, again, too, right when we start to see, we see a lot of negativity in the world. Hard to manage. But what are some key points that you want people to start working on today?
So it's funny because we always kind of seem like you and I are on the same wavelength, even though we don't have discussions prior to these shows. But everything that we've been talking about is what's called a spiritual journey. Dominic, I put you on a spiritual journey when I asked you to start meditating and then incorporating all these different things. Basically, that's when you started by incorporating all these different things. You were already on a spiritual journey. We just basically hit the accelerator, okay? So I'm releasing a video tomorrow. I've worked really hard on this one, and it's basically everything that I tell the new people that I teach, and when I'm mentoring or helping, advising people, I put it all into one video, Beginner's Guide to Starting Your Own Spiritual Journey. What it looks like with those 4 categories, and I break them down to mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual pillars of your existence. And in each pillar, each category, I share a couple books, a few of my own videos, and some other resources, and then daily tips and tricks that you can do to start your spiritual journey here and now. But what you should be investing in, what you should not be investing in, and everything is there for the people to take notes and get to work, starting to realize that they can grow and they can see and realize purpose, peace, and joy in their own lives. So that's a video I'll be releasing tomorrow morning, actually. I'm heading out on a little camping trip. And before I go do that, to go connect with Mother Nature, I'm going to release that, and hopefully that'll help a lot of people navigate how they can start their own spiritual journey.
I like that too. You said take notes. That's one thing people should do, believe it or not. When they're watching your videos, get a journal out, start taking notes on things.
Yes.
And again, people can interact with you. They can start following you on your public figure, Joe Hain Facebook page, which is essential. People start doing. Comment in the comments section so that they can interact with you. But taking notes is absolutely essential. What if you think a thought versus writing it down versus speaking out in the universe? All these things help things kind of manifest quicker or more powerfully, correct?
Yes, because you're putting it into the universe by physically writing it down. But also, it's like it depends where you are. Like, after I was traveling the world after Jess passed, I was writing all these journals and sharing them publicly. I was just basically expressing myself, and I'm dumping out all of this like emotion. It was very cathartic, but it helps me to heal, to grow, and evolve. And then also, I make all of these connections. So writing and journaling is very positive for one's own spiritual journey. And also just like you're going to learn a lot of there's so many resources out there. And, I'm happy and honored to help people where they can receive my information, but they may like other people's stuff too. That's great. But you're going to write it down. You're going to take notes. You're going to read this book and watch this documentary and listen to this podcast. Everything adds up, but you kind of have to notate it a little bit so that you can realize your own individual growth.
Yeah, right. I can't tell you how good writing stuff down is too, because you also get a chance to go back and reflect on how you were feeling in that moment. I mean, when Joe and I train Wing Chun, I've got Wing Chun journals from years ago.
Yeah.
I look back from 2007. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I didn't interpret it. Yeah, journaling is fantastic for anything you're passionate about. It's Joe-Hehn, H-E-H-N. Make sure you check him out on YouTube as well too. The videos are great. Putting them out, you said twice now a week, which is fantastic. I see in the background, your brother's up there. How's he doing? I haven't talked to him.
He's good. He just had a baby.
Get out of here.
About 3 months ago now, a little Calvin. So I'm looking forward to going back to Chicago so that I can meet my nephew soon enough when I can travel out there safely without having to pee in parking lots and stuff like that with him, because everything's closed down. So, yeah. But I did want to give anybody out there who's listening, we did start on this, just a little homework is to be vulnerable this week. Tell the people that are in your life that they matter to you. Sit them down, look them in the eye, hold them by their shoulders, and take a moment or two. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic, but you're just going to feel really great. And even if you tell people every day, 10 times a day, I love you, yeah, have a good day, go to the store, love ya, love ya, love ya. Sit them down and look them in the eye and tell them those 3 words, but mean it and be your most authentic, genuine self and pour your heart out. You're going to feel so much better. You're going to feel like you had a great day. You're going to make their day, make their week, and you're just spreading the love. And especially during these times, it really makes a difference.
Fantastic, Joe. We're going to talk about vulnerability next week, too. All right, thanks much. Stick around for Liz Croca next. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. Joe, we'll see you. Guys, stick around.
This is the seditious, rabble-rousing, liberty-loving, home of fun, entertaining, and compelling talk. Mojo 50. The Daily Mojo with Brad Staggs.
You could be the special someone for billionaire Yusaka Masawi. He wants to go into space.
What's a Masawi?
$20, same as downtown.
Because if you suck in one, you need to know what it is.
Yeah, you do. He's a 44-year-old Japanese billionaire. He has started a campaign to find a female partner that will be his companion for his moon and space exploration happening.
He wants to have sex.
Right.
That's what this boils down to.
Yeah.
Is he looking for females?
Well, I mean,
yes, because he says single women aged 20 or over.
where have you been with this story?
No, dude, I was thinking, I'd have sex with the dude if I could go out into outer space with a billionaire.
Would you? Really?
Come on, dude. I do a lot of things for a little bit of money. You know that.
He gets effed every day of his life.
Every day.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Yeah. Why not get a ride?
Brad. You know you do it.
Yeah. I think I would.
Weekdays, 8 Eastern. Mojo.
When will your adventure begin? Join the Federation and become part of a mission to traverse to the skies. You can help our humanitarian missions and you can help our disaster response units. In a world where political discourse has left a void in our world's ability to help hurricane and other natural disaster victims, it's the role of the Federation to stand tall and make a difference. Shop the Federation Promenade and make your donation at trekfederation.com today.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Don't tread on my mojo.
A gentleman named Dave Chappelle. You probably know Dave Chappelle. So he was accepting the Mark Twain Award. This is where the quote, the Second Amendment is in case the first one doesn't work out, came from, which I love that. He also had another quote. This was from his mother. She said, "Sometimes you have to be a lion to be the lamb you really are."
Hey everybody, this is Jason Dufresne, host of Defending 2A. The show airs every Saturday at 4